Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining Renewed Mind Breakthroughs with Ashley. Testimony Day Part 2. So, we picked up yesterday and I was pregnant. So, as soon as I got pregnant, I went to the bio dad and I was like, I'm pregnant. And he was like, oh my gosh. And so, he was just being released from jail. And he walked up to the first person he saw and he knew him. And he was like, I need help. I want to get treatment. So, he wanted to do the right thing. So we ended up both moving in with my mom and getting jobs and, being responsible people. And then, he wasn't ready. So he would pick fights with me and he would go off and get high. And one of the first times that he did, he calls me, come pick me up. I pick him up. He's like, I got some meth. You want some? And I was like, yes, jerk, how dare you? But I smoked it. And then we went home and I held my little baby and I looked him in the eyes and I was like, Ashley, what are you doing? And I just knew I could never get high again. And I never did. It's been 13 years. But he just couldn't, it kept going. And so, like I said, I'm like, if that's going to be in your life, then you're not going to be in ours. And that was it. And so then here I am at my mom's, with my baby, and then she ends up getting engaged, and so I was like, okay, time for me to go. And I move in with my sister to this whole new town, this whole new area that I just knew no one, and I was like, hey, what am I going to do now? I'm working as a certified nurse assistant, and so I went and got into a Christian community right away, and, that's something I haven't spoken about up until this point, which makes me sad because this is my testimony. And God was always there. Always, always. I couldn't have gotten through my childhood. My childhood was hard, my mom wasn't really there and I was raising my sisters and we would be homeless and the one time she was getting raped and beat and screaming for me to come help her. My childhood was really hard. And so I couldn't have made it through without God. He was always there. My aunts, uncles, grandparents, they would bring us to church. My mom never did. But God was always in my life. He always had my heart. He always carried me through the hard times and held my hands through the good times. And, he was just always there. I'd always, when I was a little girl, just sing songs to him. And even when I was high on meth, I would write songs and poetry to God. And it's pray that he would protect me and keep me from all this and help me get out of it. And God was so good because there's so many times, so many situations that I should have had a felony or something that would have stopped me from being a nurse. But God was gracious. He was so merciful. And so, that never happened. And so there I am. And I'm in this Christian community, and this is where I end up meeting my husband, this dorky tech guy. But, I just went to school for audio production. Well, not just went to school. So, that really kind of attracted me to him. He does all the audio stuff or whatever. And he loved my son, always playing with him, always, helping me out or whatever. And so it was during this time that I decided to go to nursing school. I was 27 when I started, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be 30 until I graduate, but we're going for it. We're doing it. So, and nursing school is so hard, you guys. It's blood, sweat, and tears. It's for real. And my mom and sister were an hour away, and so I didn't have that much support. With my son, he was in daycare, or I'd bring him to the college with me, or do whatever I can so I could study and still be present with him. And it was a hard time, but my husband was always there and he was very helpful. And we ended up getting married right before I graduated, the summer before I graduated nursing school. And so, I graduated with my RN and I went on for my bachelor's. And so there we are. We're newly married. We had a baby right away. Plus we have, my son. And then, he's working full time. I'm working full time. I'm also going to school full time. We're doing opposite schedules, so we don't need daycare. We buy a house. We get a puppy. You name it. It was stressful. especially when you don't have that time together because we're on opposite schedules, like it was so hard. And, like we would fight. And at this point, I'm like still drinking off and on because like in my mind, I'm not I'm not all consumed like I was with the meth. Like it's not every day. I'm doing all my responsibilities. So it's like before I go to bed, like maybe I'd smoke a bowl or have a drink or something. And so it didn't seem like a really big deal. And then yeah, it got into like situations where like we'd end up fighting and like the cops would get called. And there was one short period of time where I wasn't able to be a nurse. That was so hard, but we made it through with God's grace. And things got like way better. He got a different job and we weren't on opposite schedules and stuff. And then 2020 hit. And like being a nurse in 2020 was so hard, and there was so much conflicting information, especially in the beginning. You didn't know what was going on. We're having to like do the full PPE, like gloves, gown, mask, all the things, like testing everyone when they came in. We got people in quarantine. Like I'm constantly being exposed, and then you're being bombarded with all the and so it was like, oh my gosh, what is going on in this world, and so like, the drinking was like right there again. It wasn't like when I got into the meth like so bad all the time, like I couldn't even function, but like definitely more than I should. And so like, it was just a hard situation. And it was right around then that it was another fight with my husband. And this time CBS got involved. And you know what? That was actually the best thing ever. It really was, because it made us become a united front. And it really helped us to, realize that, our family is so important to us. And we don't want to, like get a divorce, because that was something that was kind of like talked about or thought about at least. And so like it really helped join us together, and we went through marriage counseling. And so like things just got so much better, just so much better. And it's crazy because God can create beauty from the ashes. It was such a bad situation, but God brought so much goodness out of it. Like he is so faithful. He is always there. And so yeah, that's pretty much my testimony. I got up until, during 2020, I like switched jobs, and now I'm back at the treatment center, and that's like where my heart is. It's so funny because I never even applied there. Like the God totally led me there. I just turned in my resume at a job fair, and they're like calling me, and it's like, it's my calling. Like this is what God like laid on my heart. Like, Ashley, so much of your life was a battle with addiction, and now right before 2020 hit, I got my certification for addiction nursing. It's like, so you have the experience, like the street experience, you have the working experience, you got the book knowledge because I got that extra certification, and it's just like you understand, you have compassion. This is what I'm calling you to do, Ashley. I want you to help my people. I want you know what it's like to be in addiction. You know all of it, how ugly it gets, how it can mess up a family, how it can mess up your life. So now I want you to be that beacon of light and help people like get out. So that's why I started this podcast, like, because God just told me, it's like, Ashley, this is your calling. You are called to help my people and to, share your story. And I hope that it helped inspire some people, and I hope that you got some value from it. And I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Thanks for joining.